I watch a film every other day, and today I watched the YouTube movie No One Has to Know on Tobi Makinde TV. This is a very requested movie for me to watch in the comments. And so it came out last month, December, and I wasn't going to check it out just because it wasn't on my watch list. I was like, I don't really know about this film. But then people in the comments were like, you have to go and watch movie, you have to go and watch this movie. So I finally did today. And I think people are about to come and fight me. I genuinely feel like I'm about to be jumped after this video because I guess the major reason to watch this film, and I guess why everybody is talking about this film that wants me to watch it, is about the ending. And let me tell you, I did not like that ending at all. And I am going to tell you why, of course, in the spoiler section. This is the non spoiler section. Without giving you spoilers, though, what this movie is about a couple and they are both pastors. Like the man is a pastor, so she's a pastor, Mrs. And then things from the past start surfacing, and then the movie goes from there. I would say that if you're going to watch this movie, maybe don't even watch the trailer. Don't see anything. Just go and watch it blind if you really want to watch it. I'm very curious to also know what you think because I feel like you might have a very different experience of watching this film. So go and check it out if you wish to. If you just want to even know like what a sense of the film is, check out the trailer. There's a trailer on YouTube. And then if that interests you, you can watch the movie. Now, if you have watched this movie and you're ready to come and talk about this with me, let us get into talking about this film with spoilers. Spoilers ahead. Let us go. So, talking about spoilers, I want to talk about the ending of this film and why I had a very big problem with it. So, I studied writing, and one of the things they teach you, especially even with mystery writing, especially, is that you have to earn a twist. A plot twist needs to be earned. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I'm telling you a story, and in my story, I tell you that character A and B walk into a house and then they see a dead character C. If in the end of my story, the plot twist I now tell you is that the killer is not A, B, or C, actually it is D, and then in the end, for like those final 5 minutes of the film, and I start showing you what you would have never known about this film, that character D actually came to the house with character A, B, and C, but you didn't see it, but I'm going to now show you in the last 5 minutes. What this is doing is that it will surprise you. It is a gag, but it is a cheap gag. It is a cheap twist because you would have never guessed that character D was even in this house because I never even showed it to you prior to this. Why do I bring that to this film? And why do I say that? This film, let's talk about the pedo storyline that Pastor David, the daughter at the end is now like, Daddy said no one has to know. Was this earned? Let's start with that one. And so let's take that girl, the daughter. The times we see this daughter, the time when you could have maybe said was the inclination before this twist comes that maybe something like this would have happened was when she doesn't hug her father and she starts walking up the steps. But then the filmmaker now tells us through the character of Amara, the mother, that it's actually something that happened in school. And then when we now later even see this girl, she comes to her father and she's hugging him, and she's just telling him, like, people said that you were fighting in school. The father kind of consoles her. So it seems like they have a good relationship. The other question that I have is, when exactly was this thing found out by Amara? Because I don't really know. Like, it just seems like she entered to her daughter's room one day. Her daughter just like, Daddy said no one has to know. And again, this is in the end of this film, and there's nothing about Pastor David up until this point that has even led us in this direction to think this. I'm not saying that good people cannot do bad things. I'm not saying that that this cannot happen. I'm saying that from a storytelling standpoint, a twist, and when something is effective in story, is that you plant the seed in the beginning, you make the revelation or the twist in the end. That's what makes a good twist. A twist is not you just come in the end and tell us this man is a pedo, he's the rapist. Now let's go into the rapist storyline with Amara. When we first see two of them, we get a sense that Amara has, we don't even get a sense, we know that she's a victim of rape. So when in that scene, for example, that he makes her the food and then she comes back and then he starts trying to get frisky and she's like, stop. What you get the sense of at that moment is that she's almost like, how could you do this knowing my history with this thing? And he's now like, oh, sorry. He kind of, as she's trying to go, he holds her hand and she looks back in shock. And then in this moment, he's like, oh, so sorry. And then later in the bed, he's like trying to kiss her cheek. You're seeing that she's kind of upset. At this moment, what the audience is getting is that, oh, she's so disappointed. Like, how could he even have done that knowing her history? And the people at home are probably thinking like, yeah, like this is sometimes the trauma that comes with being a rape survivor, is that sometimes even in intimate relationships, it's hard, because you have to like, it's hard. They seem to have a loving relationship. Like when she even sees her act, the other rapist Kunle, in the church, she says to Pastor David, that is the man I was telling you about. When they're even talking about in one scene, and she's like, I was the one that was raped by this man. It's as if, when I tell you that there's no way you would have even guessed that this man raped her. Like, there was no way. And so when in the end, just flash back to a scene of her getting raped by this man, it's like, we would have never even guessed it. There was no even way to know. There was nothing that she did that would have even given you the inclination that this man is her rapist. And then the daughter just suddenly crying in her room. Daddy said no one has to know. Again, from nowhere, there has been no sign up until this point. That is my biggest issue with this film. And for a film that I believe that the end and this twist is the main point of it, it wasn't earned. The other thing I want to say, and a very big minus for this film, is that you have shown me this woman that is a rape survivor, that even her own husband touching her, which I guess at the end now we know that is even beyond the PTSD. She's also literally with her rapist and had the child with her rapist and all of that. But anyways, you've seen how she is with her PTSD. She's having nightmares of getting choked. Which, by the way, who was the person choking her? Was she also a victim of domestic abuse? I guess, was she? Because she keeps getting choked. Even in the end, if you had told me like, oh, there was a bathtub scene that we now see in the end, because that one was, the grains of that were laid in the first part of a bathtub getting choked or something. So if the ending was that like Pastor David actually used to choke her, or there was something of that, maybe this can tie back to something that we saw in the beginning. But what we even see has nothing to do with what we had been watching for this whole time. So who was the choker and who was that? We never know. Okay, anyways, back to what I was saying. I was saying that we've seen her PTSD around this. You're not telling me that this woman that seems so afraid of her rapist, Kunle, I'm talking about Deyemi's character, now goes to her rapist's house, uses her feminine wiles, and is now so comfortable with him touching her, tells him go in and get the condom, because we all know she's doing this to plant the evidence, right? Going to get the condom. They do not show, by the way, her ever leaving that house. They don't show that she left. So there is the implication that they might have actually even had sex in this house, which is this rape survivor is having sex with her rapist to plant evidence here. What are you talking about? It's like this is so anti the character that we've been following. Also, a woman that is a victim of domestic violence, we see her thing with violence, her stance on violence. I don't think the way she would kill her husband is to stab him and then mutilate, like chop up his body to keep it in the fridge. If you had said she poisoned him or she did something else, maybe, but that kind of violent crime for a victim, for a domestic violence advocate and victim, the character presented for the first half of this film versus the character presented when the twist is now supposed to come, and there is such a the twist was not earned to me at all, and that is my biggest problem with this film. I'm very curious to know if you agree with me or if you do not, and I'm just very curious to know your thoughts on this film as a whole. Also, if you've watched this whole video and have no idea who I am, my name is VDK. I make movie bingo cards, which you can find on my Substack, vdkfilmclub.substack.com, and I talk about films. Until the next film that I watch and the next video that I make, have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.